Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another polymer clay video at keepsakecrafts.net. Today I have for you a simple technique for not only quickly making a whole bunch of beads, but also experimenting and playing with textures and surface effects. So many times we buy new products to play with our polymer clay, like texture sheets or paints or different effects, and then they get stored away and we never use them. So today I have a great project for you that will help you pull some of those products off the shelves and put them in use and see what they can do, but also quickly and easily make yourself some beads that you could make into a quick gift or use to accent something else that you've made, maybe a focal piece that needs some accent beads. So here's actually 3 sets of beads I've made. I made some in brown, I made some with pearl, and I made some with turquoise. And I'll get back to those in a minute. So I have here just some more of that turquoise clay. Now if you use just 1/4 of a block or about 1/2 ounce of clay, that will get you 10 or 11 of these beads. Plenty to make necklace accents or a whole bracelet. And what I have here is a 7/8 inch round cutter. You don't have to use a round cutter. This just helps you make all of your beads the same size. So this is a great trick for making beads that are all the same size, is to roll a sheet and then just cut them all with the same cutter, and then you know you have the exact same amount of clay in each ball. The next step is to roll those into a smooth ball. See how there's creases here still? You want to make sure that you get rid of all of those because they will show in your finished bead. Then just kind of roughly make your beads the shape that you want them to be. So I like, especially for bracelets, I love flattened ovals or flattened rectangles. They just lie really nicely on the wrist. They're comfortable to wear. So we can reshape these later. We don't have to make them perfect now. And then one of my favorite tools in polymer clay making is one that I have left over from my sewing days, and that's a doll needle. It's a nice hardened needle. It has a very sharp tip, and it's nice and long, and I use it all the time. So I'm going to use this to pierce the holes for my beads. And I just got one end, and I'm just twirling it till it comes out the other end. Once it comes out, pull it out and put it back through, and that way you have a nice even hole. And you can put more than one bead on at a time. That makes this go much more quickly. When I first started doing this, I was doing them one at a time, and I was like, ugh, this is taking forever. And then I realized, oh, I can do a whole bunch at a time. So I'm just going to do, well, let's see. Now with this size bead, I found that I wanted to put 4 or 5 on my needle, no more than 5. It was too crowded otherwise. I'm going to leave a bit of space in between them. And then I want to flatten these just a little to start with, and I love using an acrylic block because then they all get flattened to about the same thickness. And here I have a bunch of texture sheets that you can see I bought from Aniko, Mandarin Duck. She designed them, and they're all absolutely lovely. And it's funny, you know, I thought I would love the dragon scale one the best when I bought it. That was the one I really wanted. But I found I like it, but it's not my favorite. I think I love the feather. That one is just beautiful. And then this one, the organic mesh, some sort of weird amoeba. I love that. Now there's 2 different ways you can do this. If you really want the same texture on both sides and you have a big texture sheet, you can actually lift it up, put these in between, and then press like this. I find it very difficult to get it even. So instead, what I prefer to do is actually have 2 different textures, one on the top and one on the bottom. So I've got the organic mesh, and I'm going to put that on a large acrylic block. And then I have here some Armor All. And I'm just going to put a spritz of that in a little plastic cup and just put my finger in it and a little dab on each of these. Put down my texture, flip it over, and put a little bit of the release on the other side. And now I can press nice and hard and not worry about clay getting stuck in my stamps. And what's nice is you can kind of see as you're pressing, and I'm going to rock it top to bottom, side to side, just to make sure I get a nice impression. Ooh, cool. Now you can see that wasn't even. I was obviously pressing harder on this end than that, but we can fix that easily. Cool. Nice texture on both sides. So then I found this is easiest to do while it's still on the needle so that you don't mess up your hole. Is just use your fingers and gently reshape those edges and bring them back to the same size and shape. Mostly. You could spend a lot more time than this and make them exact, and that would be fine. Or you can call it organic and leave it like this. I kind of like the look. One thing, if you're going to be doing a lot of rubbing over with mica powders, with things after baking, do try to make sure that as you're doing this, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of cupped. So I do sort of want to flatten it out a little, just so that the surface of the bead is flat, so that when you rub over it with your surface effects, you can get all of it. And then, speaking of surface effects, now you can add things like pan pastels. This is the only color of pan pastels I have. I added that to these two pearl ones. Not sure that I'm in love with that. The turquoise one that I added, the pan pastel. Yeah, I think I like this better on other things, but you can certainly do that. You can add mica powders. Here are a few that I added mica powders to for a very subtle, shimmery look. Like this one had pearl on it. These ones got forever blue, no, blue patina, excuse me. It's funny, I didn't really love the look of the perfect pearls on the pearl clay. I like it better on the darker ones. But I'll just show you that, real simple. One thing I like to do is kind of tap down and then just get what's in the lid if you want a light application. And you can see what I mean here about wanting to make sure those aren't cupped. Let's see what the feather side looks like. That's pretty. So this you would do before baking. Add pastels of any type, mica powders. Thinking of making a set of beads, so. What's fun with this is that you can make a whole set. They don't all have to be the exact same thing as long as they're unified in something. If they all have the turquoise base, if they all have a similar color on top. You might want to have a baby wipe handy. I use my fingers. Some people don't like to. I just feel like I have more control. Let's try this with pearl. And that's pretty too. Let's see. It's just fun to play. So if you've got a bunch of new products, say you got a package of perfect pearls and you wanted to know what they look like, this would be a great way of making a whole bunch of beads really quickly and then trying them out and seeing what you've got. And then when you're done, you've got a whole bunch of beads to add to your collection. So then you bake your beads, obviously, according to manufacturer's directions. If you want to make more than 4 or 5, you just slide these off of the needle. Just hold them gently and pull them off. They come right off. It is easiest to add your surface effects whilst they are still on the needle. It's easier to handle them all at once. So here are a bunch of the turquoise beads that I made earlier. Oh, this one got the pan pastel in the green, and I didn't love it. I really didn't love the look. So this one, once it came out of the oven, I actually went over it with some copper gilders paste. Same way, it's just a paste. Apply it with your finger or with a dauber. And now this one got copper gilders paste. Just did it? This one. This one got copper gilders paste straight on, and you can see the difference between this one with the green underneath. So one thing I discovered in all of this experimenting and playing was that layers are really good. You may not love something to begin with, but by building up layers, you get just a really interesting look. So this is a different look from just the copper straight on the turquoise to having the copper over the, keep forgetting the name of it, pan pastels. And you would add any of the gilders paste the same way with your finger or with a dauber, whichever makes you happier. There's mica powders, there's silver gilders paste. The mica powders do tend to give you a more subtle look. I think this was gold over, there's the pan pastel that I didn't love, and there it is with some gold over it. It's kind of an interesting look. And maybe if I pulled out some of these, you know, these would make an interesting piece of jewelry. I might go over them with other things and tie them in together more, but that would be great, strung with some crystals or some gold or copper or gold and copper beads, and make yourself a bracelet. Now here's several I made, obviously with brown. This is burnt umber clay. These have the blue patina mica powders on them. They're pretty and subtle, but you do get a bit stronger look if you use gilders paste. In this case, I used the light blue color called patina. And if you want to learn more about gilders paste, I've actually done an entire Friday Findings video on using gilders paste. One thing about it is you do have to let it sit for a while and then buff it off. Like a day later is really the best way to do it. And here's an interesting example. I took a dark blue and put it on this one and said, oh, boring. Not interesting at all. So on the other side, I put antique gold and then put that exact same dark blue, I think it's called blue iris, over it. And suddenly it's got a lot of depth and interest, and I could see making a whole set of beads out of this. And this was just experimenting and playing and seeing. This one I put some silver on and didn't love it, so I went back over it with the, oh no, this one got silver. Yeah, see, now I can't even remember. If you wanted to be real scientific, unlike me, you would probably keep track of which you used and which over which, just so you can replicate it. But I just was having fun and playing and experimenting. I think this is my favorite, though, with the layers. Because I said, oh, no way a dark blue over brown, and that was right. But then it led me to do the gold with the blue, and that's suddenly rich and interesting to look at. And then finally, I made a whole bunch of beads out of pearl clay. My first thought had been to get real pretty pastels and put perfect pearls on them, and I thought they'd be gorgeous, and I said, yuck. And I actually mixed all of the pearls into the white pearl clay and just went ahead from there. So here's one with nothing on it, just a plain pearl bead. Let's see, these two have the pan pastels, which I said, meh, boring. So I took one of the ones with the pan pastels and I went over it with some gold. And thought, well, that's interesting. And then on this side, I went over it with some gold, and then I went around the edges with the African bronze. And suddenly you have something, like I said, very interesting with lots of depth and layers to it. These ones all got antiqued after baking. These are a couple of products that I had bought at the craft store. I think they were on clearance or something, and I wanted to try them, and I said, iridescent stainless steel. What the heck is that? Well, it's this. And it is. It's iridescent stainless steel, and it's kind of cool, and I think it definitely is one that needs more layers to be truly interesting, but that's pretty cool. And then this is the interference blue. And these were all wiped on, allowed to sit for a couple minutes, and then the excess wiped off, leaving the paint in the crevices. This is another golden color. This is interference gold. And this works especially well when you have those nice deep crevices. And again, going over that with something else later. And then this was just plain burnt umber and brown acrylic paint. And again, add more layers, add some metallics on that, and you'll have something really cool. So have fun and play and experiment. Pull out a measly quarter block of clay, make yourself some beads using maybe textures you haven't tried before. Pull out some of your surface effects and experiment. Who knows, you might discover the next cool thing. So I'm going to try this iris blue with some of these white beads and see what I end up with. So if you're interested in the supplies I use, click on the little eye in the upper right of the video or the link in the description box to go to my blog post, where I always have a complete supply list with links to supplies. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and take a peek at my Patreon page for how you can get great rewards and help support these tutorials. My patrons are awesome and I love you all. So thank you for watching to the very end of the video. Happy creating. Bye-bye.